Food security begins in the soil under your boots. Empires rose on grain stores. Armies marched on bread. Families survived winter because root cellars were full and dry. You do not secure food with variety alone. You secure it with crops that endure stress and store well. Start with wheat. Hold a handful of hard red wheat berries in your palm. They feel dense and smooth like small pebbles. Wheat built civilizations from Mesopotamia to Britain. It tolerates cool seasons and moderate drought. Properly dried, it stores for decades in sealed containers. Grind it between stones and you have flour. Boil the whole grain and you have porridge. Ferment it and you have bread that keeps for days. Shift your attention to maize. The cob is firm in your grip. Kernels packed tight in ordered rows. Maize spread across continents because it adapts to heat and varied soils. In dry regions, it outperformed many grains. Indigenous farmers selected resilient strains over generations. Dried maize stores well and can be ground into meal. Treated with alkaline water, it becomes more nutritious and digestible. Now picture a field of potatoes. Dark soil crumbles as you pull one from the earth. The skin is thin and cool. Potatoes produce high calories per acre. They thrive in cooler climates and shorter seasons. During the 19th century, they fed millions in Europe. A single acre can yield several tons under good conditions. Stored in a cool, dark place, they last through winter. So let's turn to sweet potatoes in warmer ground. You'll notice how the vines creep low and wide, kind of hugging the earth. Beneath the soil, thick roots swell with starch and beta-carotene. Sweet potatoes tolerate heat and poor soil better than many other staples, which is pretty handy, really. Cure them in warm, dry air and, well, the skins toughen up nicely. If stored properly, they'll hold for months. You can bake them, boil them, or even dry them into chips. Now look at dry beans drying on the vine. The pods rattle when you give them a little shake. Beans have this remarkable ability to fix nitrogen in the soil, which means they actually improve the ground while feeding you. High in protein and fiber, they really help balance out grain-based diets. Varieties such as kidney, pinto and fava have supported populations for centuries. And dried beans, well, they keep for years if you protect them from moisture and pests. Consider rice, especially where water is available. Imagine standing at the edge of a flooded paddy, the air thick with the scent of mud and growth. Rice feeds more people than any other crop, and it thrives in these controlled, flooded systems that help suppress weeds. Once harvested and dried, rice stores compactly, which is quite efficient. White rice in sealed containers can remain edible for decades, making it a true staple around the world. Barley deserves attention. The heads bend heavy with grain, you know. Barley tolerates poor soil and cold better than wheat. It matures quickly, which is quite remarkable. In northern climates, it often succeeds where other cereals fail. Barley can be eaten as whole grain porridge or ground into flour. It also feeds livestock, which really extends its value. These crops share traits that matter in crisis. They produce dense calories, and well, they can be dried and stored. They adapt to varied climates too. They have deep historical records of sustaining communities through war, drought, and economic collapse. Walk into a traditional granary. Wooden beams creak under weight. Sacks of grain rest on raised platforms to keep out damp. The air is dry and still. Grain is security you can measure. Each sack represents weeks of meals. Each sealed jar of beans is protein held in reserve. Storage determines survival. Grain must be dried to low moisture before sealing. Go on, bite a kernel. It should crack hard between your teeth. Spread harvests on clean cloth in sunlight, if conditions allow. And, stir them by hand. Listen to the dry rustle as they shift. Moist grain invites mold and rot. Root crops demand different care. A cellar must be cool, dark and slightly humid. Too dry and they shrivel, but too damp and they decay. Wooden crates lined with straw allow air to move. Inspect regularly and remove damaged roots at once. One rotting potato can spoil a crate. Crop diversity reduces risk. Plant cereals with legumes. Pair deep-rooted crops with shallow ones. Rotate fields to prevent soil exhaustion. Historical farmers understood rotation without laboratory tests. They observed yields and adjusted. Wheat followed beans, and barley followed fallow ground. Seed saving, well, it secures the next season. Select seed from the strongest plants, dry it fully, and store it in sealed jars away from light. Make sure to label each container with the year and variety. Having a seed bank in your own home, removes dependence on outside supply. Yield per acre matters, but honestly, resilience matters more. A crop that produces slightly less yet survives drought, well, it has a higher security value. Study local climate records and choose varieties suited to your latitude and rainfall. Hard red winter wheat, for example, differs from spring wheat. Upland rice is not the same as lowland rice. Labour must be considered. Potatoes demand digging, rice demands water control, beans demand shelling, and wheat demands threshing and winnowing. Picture the rhythm of flails striking grain on a barn floor, the steady thud echoing off timber walls. Chaff drifts in shafts of light. Food security, in the end, includes the strength to process harvests. Nutrition completes the picture. Grain provides carbohydrates, beans provide protein, roots provide calories and minerals. Together, they prevent deficiency diseases that plagued single-crop societies. A store of only grain leads to weakness over time. Balance is essential. History offers warning. When blight struck Irish potatoes in the 1840s, dependence on one crop led to famine. When drought hit the American plains in the 1930s, farms with crop diversity endured better. Security lies in layers, not reliance. Examine your land with clear eyes. Test soil texture by rubbing it between your fingers. Sandy soil drains fast, while clay holds water. Match your crops to these conditions and, amend the soil with compost and manure where possible. Healthy soil increases resilience more than any single technique. Water management shapes outcomes. Capture rain from roofs into barrels and direct runoff into channels that feed your beds. In dry climates, mulch heavily with straw to reduce evaporation. Listen to the sound of water soaking into soil. That quiet absorption is really future grain forming underground. Preservation extends beyond storage. Grain can be ground and baked into hard bread that dries firm and keeps longer. Beans can be pressure canned. Potatoes can be sliced and dried. Each method reduces the risk of total loss. You stand between abundance and scarcity. The decision is, honestly, made months before harvest when seeds enter the soil. Choose crops that history has proven capable of sustaining populations through crisis. Observe your land, record yields, adjust each season. Food security is not theory. It is sacks lifted by hand. It is earth under your fingernails. It is the steady weight of grain poured into a bin. When your stores are full, the mind is calm. When they are empty, fear enters quickly. Plant wheat for bread. Plant maize for adaptability. Plant potatoes and sweet potatoes for dense calories. Plant beans for protein. Plant rice or barley suited to your region. Build storage before you need it. Begin with one reliable staple and expand. Test each crop on a small plot. Measure output. Improve soil steadily. Share surplus seed with trusted neighbors. Strong communities rest on shared resilience. If you value practical agricultural knowledge rooted in history, subscribe to Golden Harvest and share this with someone preparing their land for the long term. Fill your soil with the right crops and your storage with certainty. Security grows from deliberate planting.